All right, so we're going to cover something that is really basic, but also kind of in depth. Maybe a level of knowledge that we haven't talked about a whole lot, and that is torches, brazing. Seems like an easy subject. Not exactly. All right, so these are two different torch tips, right? We all know what this one is, right? Zero. It's usually what comes with your gauge, your whatever ranging gauge set, your manifold. It's either a zero, a double zero, right, or a two, like you just said. What is this one?
Rosebud?
Yeah, a rosebud. Right. Who doesn't like a good rosebud?
Me. I haven't gotten one yet.
I don't think I don't.
It's the best one.
Once I learn how to use it, I think it's the thing.
Okay.
The best thing ever.
So this is what we're going to cover really quickly, just because there's a problem with this, right? You see how many torch tips we have. And this is just a really small number compared to the actual number that's out there to choose from for your torches. I've got some custom tips that I've used in certain applications because I needed something special for it. Whether that's the captain's hook or flexible tips and stuff like that. But I need you guys to understand the basic science of why this is probably the worst tip to use in air conditioning. Ooh. And if you have one, you're probably never going to pull it off your van after today. I have a rosebud and I use a rosebud, but I also understand the science behind a rosebud. So let's do this really quick. And this is for a tool, if anybody can tell me. What is the average temperature that your torches can get to? Regardless of the tip, what is the average temperature of your flame? Maximum capacity, neutral flame.
200,000.
How many degrees Fahrenheit?
1750. Like
1,400.
1,000?
You know, Price is Right rule.
Okay, let's do this. Let's step it back then. Okay, what is the melting point of copper? Because that's the material we're all touching and talking about. That's what this is for, right?
Hey, when it's really hot.
When it turns red.
When it starts to melt.
When it's cherry red.
Come on, what's the melting temperature of copper? There's a science behind all of what we do. Like, we understand it. Do we know about what's that?
1,800.
Okay, anybody else want to guess a number?
1,200. 420. 200.
14?
It's 1,420.
Nobody have anything else?
What's like 750? I have no idea.
17,000. 100 degrees below.
Very my heels. Never melts.
1950.
1950.
Oh, that was close.
This is the official liquid point of copper, right? Your solder melts probably anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 degrees, depending on the concentration, the type you're using, how long you left it outside. This is 1900. What is your average temperature that your torches get to in the neutral flame, regardless of the tip?
15. 2,000.
2,000. I mean, it has to be more than
Right. Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe less. I don't know. You're saying
What is it?
1,500?
25?
2,000.
2,500. Okay. Anybody else?
3,000.
3,000. Okay.
$1.
Yeah.
It's 2,100.
That's it. That's all the guesses I get.
4,000.
25.
So Adams, you're the closest.
Do I get something?
70,000.
Do I get something?
Yes, you
Yeah.
get something.
The gold, the gold.
5,000 degrees. Pass that down there.
Why is fire?
You got a rosebud.
Let's go.
The rest of the ones that need that.
This is your average temperature of your torches. You can be less than that. Maybe if I turn them down, if I turn them up, I can probably get up to maybe 5,500, maybe 6,000 degrees. This is what's at the end of your torch. This is what copper melts at. So why are there different tips if all of these tips get to 5,000 degrees? What are we not measuring here?
If you have a rosebud,
No,
The time that it takes to reach that temperature?
Sure, but what gauges that time and temperature? We talk about it all the time over
BTUs.
here in the, yes,
Yeah.
BTUs, right? British thermal units. The amount of heat we're applying, heat energy, right? Energy can't be destroyed or created. So each one of these tips isn't changing the temperature at the end. It's changing the amount of energy being exerted into the pipe for heat, right? We're putting heat energy into the pipe, and each one of these is different. So we're going to start with this one because I only did the math on two of these. Actually, I completely made this topic up while I was sitting here with you guys. How many BTUs do you think this gives out? How much BTUs does this give out?
2 ton.
over here,
And a lot more.
over here about 500.
You think 500 BTUs?
Over here about You gotta, what, quadruple it? Or times 17? So whatever that equates to. 15,000 over here.
Okay, so he's saying 15,000 over here.
I'm gonna say 2,000. It's a 1 ton and 1.5 ton.
5,000.
Okay, 5,000. Okay, what about over here?
Wait, we're measuring BTUs, I'm sure.
Let's say.
I said 5,000 on the, 5,000.
1,000 per? 2,000 per hole.
2,000 on
2,000
zero.
zero.
2,000.
5,000 on the.
Where's everybody's working, everybody's quiet up there.
I know, and that's because they're mad that they can't get any of the tools up here in the front of the room. So what if I told you that the average BTU output is 6,000 BTUs?
I was close.
What is it? Close.
0 or is
There's
it
some wire clippers. This way if you have
the average? I mean, average between all of them.
Yeah, well, so remember, depending upon what type of flame type I'm using, what my pressures are for acetylene and oxygen, I mean, there's a lot of variables here. But the average is what I'm saying. Low end to high end, if you put it in the middle,
Okay.
right, for neutral flame, so we're usually brazing with, it's around 6,000. And that, again, different manufacturer tips, right? It could be a 0 big, it's more fuel consumption for that, whether it's Uniweld or Victor, you know. So those things are all a factor. But here I'm just trying to get you guys to understand the basics of the site. 6,000. How much for a 1715? Now this is one of the smallest rosebuds that you're gonna find for HVAC. And we got some numbers here.
6,000.
24?
36.
I was
Probably like 100K.
Let's say 20.
24.
Say 22,000.
22,000 BTUs.
I was close.
What's that, 20?
Very
I
good.
said 24.
That's what.
Well, we have.
No, I said 15.
So
I said
whatever
15.
tool we get, we have to divide it.
There's enough in there to spread around.
Yeah.
What is that?
I can eat it.
Nah, bro, listen.
What?
I got it.
What is it?
Nice.
It can eat it.
It's a whole kit full of all like the 5 different types.
Nice.
Alright, so listen. 22,000 BTUs and 6,000 BTUs. That's a big difference, right? And if we go up to the other rosebud tip, which looks exactly the same, and maybe we just haven't checked the number on it, it turns out to be 44,000 BTUs.
Wow.
You got a 4-ton air conditioner in your hand applying heat to this pipe.
That's crazy.
That is the difference between selecting the tip. Now, so when you look at the manual for the 1750, what is the pipe range size that you can use to braze pipe with for that? Anybody want to take a guess?
1.8 to 2 inches.
It's actually really wide. They'll say that you can use this from 8-inch all the way.
That's what Carlos does.
He's proof it works, right? So it's a huge range, right? And for this, you know, it could be the same thing. It's probably 1/8 to maybe 1 inch, you know, if you're feeling generous between the ranges here. And again, these aren't exact science. They could vary slightly. The whole purpose of this is to show you that this is 6,000 BTUs and this is 22,000 BTUs. And although it has a range here, here's the thing. This is more of a controlled heat source into the pipe, right? What happens when I put 22,000 BTUs into an expansion valve connection, right? What happens when I put 22,000 BTUs in next to a check valve, right? Or a service port? That heat travels quickly, right? The heat conductance of copper is really high, which means that if I heat a piece of copper here or silver solder, how quickly does it get back to my hand, right? How quickly does it traverse the pipe? It's the same thing. So I need to be surgical when I'm applying heat to electronic expansion valves, check valves, any kind of heat sensitive devices. Whatever I'm brazing around, maybe there's a temperature sensor 6 inches upstream of this and I can wet rag it and I can do all those things. But if I bring in 22,000 BTUs of heat, there's no chance for that wet rag to absorb that much heat, right? There's no way that can absorb that much heat. And so if I'm hitting it with this, and there's applications where that's important, but for this, you know, it would make more sense to go from here to here instead of all the way over to here. And the last thing for this and why the rosebud, in my opinion, is not designed to be used for this stuff is there's a safety rule with acetylene tanks. And I learned this myself. I had no idea about this rule. There's a rule. It's called the 1/7 rule. And the 1/7 rule means that the fuel consumption of your tip cannot exceed 1/7 of the fuel consumption that your tank is designed to hold. And so the small acetylene tanks, anybody want to take a guess as to what that is? Fuel consumption per hour? Because we don't know what any of these consumptions are for this tip. You can imagine if this is 22,000 BTUs of heat coming out of the end of your torch that consumes a lot of fuel, right? You need something to burn to create this, right? It's not just coming out of thin air. It's not because of some kind of special nozzle. It's because you're burning fuel, which means the consumption of this is actually 3 to 5 times higher than this tip here. So although you may get the pipe hot and you may get it done really quickly, and if it's 3/4 inch pipe, you've also burned 3 times as much fuel as you would have with a 0 tip, which means that you're probably changing tanks like crazy, right? Or having to make multiple trips or whatever that may be.
I don't know, so.
It's a waste of heat, but here's the thing too though, with a 17-15 tip as opposed to a 0 tip, the 17-15 tip rosebud tip actually violates the 1/7 rule for small settling. The only tank you can actually use safely to follow this rule is a large industrial or one of the larger B tanks mixed with oxygen. And that's just because the volume in the tank is not designed to flow that fast out of the tank. You'll actually get liquid acetone out of the tank, which will burn. It smells like garlic. It's yellow, it's green. It'll eat the inside hose gaskets inside your torches. It's a whole science behind it. There's a reason this is there. 1/7 rule. And that is basically saying that the size of your tank should also dictate the type of torch tip that you use. You don't want to pull more fuel out of the tank than you can, that'll cause an actual safety problem. Something else I learned that's really cool. Does anybody know what pressure acetylene by itself, I took acetylene and I put it in this coffee cup, right? I put pressure under this coffee cup with acetylene. Does anybody know at what pressure acetylene will actually explode with no oxygen, no flame, no anything? Just a high enough pressure that it collapses on itself and causes an explosion.
600 PSI. 100 PSI.
1,000 PSI. 20 PSI.
35.
100?
You guys are gonna walk away and never touch your torches again.
15, I knew.
Wow.
I was close, I said 20.
15 PSI,
Dang.
which means if I put 16 PSI into a hose with just pure acetylene, it will explode. No ignition source, no hitting it with a hammer, no lighting it. That's because acetylene is extremely volatile. That's all it takes. That's why there's actually a red line on your acetylene tank that says don't go over 15, and it won't let you go over 15. It's crazy, right? You had no idea.
How do they put it in the tank?
So there's a whole. That's
Those tanks
don't have 15
No, so that's a lesson in itself. So we all know that if you take a soda bottle, right? I'm gonna take this water bottle real quick. Take a soda bottle, right? It's full of Coke. We're gonna use our imagination.
Can we just Sprite instead?
Sure, whatever. 7-Up. Diet Coke, because you're watching your calories.
Sorry now.
So when you look at the soda, right? It's liquid form, right? What happens when I pop the top?
Gas comes out.
It goes tss, and then bubbles come out of nowhere, right? Right, the carbonation that's been ingrained in the soda from pressure. With your acetylene tank, it's actually filled with a calcium silicate, a bunch of micro little beads filling up the entire tank. You put acetone inside of the tank. That acetone naturally wants to consume the acetylene that they put the pressure and pump into it. So they take a liquid acetone in the tank with the beads, and what they do is they pump acetylene on top of it. Acetone can actually hold 25 times of acetylene of its normal size. So if you put acetylene into the tank, it literally consumes it. It takes the gas and it turns it like you would with carbon dioxide and soda. It's how they get the carbon dioxide in the soda, right? Soda with no carbon dioxide, well, it tastes flat, right? Nobody wants to drink that. It's the same thing with your acetylene tank, which is why we don't store tanks of acetylene like this, because that gives the chance for the liquid acetone to get to the gaskets, to get to the seal. And if I turn my tank on like this, I'm gonna be burning liquid acetone. We don't need acetone to run torches, we need acetylene.
I remember that from school, but I can never remember why.
That's why we store acetylene tanks like this.
Need to redesign.
So here's the thing, when you open this up, right, it goes to what? Atmospheric pressure. And what happens to the carbon dioxide? It escapes. It starts to boil off. It starts to bubble off. When you take acetylene that's in a pressurized tank that's been forced into the liquid acetone, when I put it at normal pressure, right, atmospheric pressure, it boils off into a gas, right? It releases it into a gas. And it's that gas that we're using to run our torches. If my tip consumes more fuel than the 1/7 rule, the gas doesn't have enough time to escape the acetone and you get acetone and acetylene mixture to your torch tip. That's why the size of the tank matters for the torch tip you select, because it's a safety thing, right? And that acetone, like any solvent, will eat gaskets. It'll eat everything. So if you ever have this strong smell of garlic, if you have a green flame, a yellow flame, 9 times out of 10, or sputtering at the end of the tip, you know, that's liquid acetone. I'm sure we've all seen it, we just had no idea what it was, right? And so there's a lot of things that we don't think about, that we do out in the field, that we just don't talk about. And it's the safety side of things.
So what happens if your tip gets clogged and you feed the acid, or you feed the acetylene through it? It builds up PSI.
And it doesn't come.
Well, it won't, so the gauges won't let you set it over 50.
Bye-bye.
There's a red line on it.
All right. So
But also, this just goes back to when I teach brazing, when you're setting up your torches for the first time, even when I switch tanks, I drive the knob all the way out and start from 0.
Right.
I never drive the knob all the way in. And that's because, again, there's a reason for it, right? There's a reason there's a red number at 15, not just because they're like, well, you know, you don't need it. Or no, because we want to live.
How about when you say about the storage in the tanks like horizontally? That is not good.
No. No, and that's why you'll see with your tank holders, they'll keep them at a 45 degree, right? And that's okay. But again, never laying them in the back of our truck and then turning around and then using them again. Or laying our torches down and using them that way either. Right? If we're going to use it, we want to store it upright and then use it from there. Or let it sit upright if it's fallen over. You know, we never want to let our torches bang around the back of our truck anyways. So just stuff to think about when you guys are out there working, that there's a whole science behind what we do that we don't talk a whole lot about. That could be pretty dangerous. So
How big is that explosion? They say it does.
Big enough to kill you.
So
You don't want to quick hit it out.
I've seen guys fill up.
22,000 BTUs worth.
Yeah, I've seen guys fill up balloons about this big. They put thermostat wire in it. They put the wire this far apart from each other. They put it in a dumpster and they put a 9-volt battery to it. And it blew the lid off the dumpster and like a good 50 feet away. They got fired. Come to find out, you can't blow up dumpsters on commercial job sites and not get fired. So, but yes, there's a lot of energy in there. So it's just things we don't think about. You know, we see guys who do like the acetylene in the cup and then they blow it up. It's just not worth it. Don't mess around.
Unless you're a trained professional, and it won't be happening at next year's expo.
You see it on that.
All right, any questions? Nope. Okay.
Well, you pulled that right in that's important. Next question.
Did you go through online and also like search for your tip type about what you're gonna set your regulators to? or
Yes,
something else?
yeah, so
Okay.
setting your regulator pressures changes by the tip selection that you have, more fuel consumption, less fuel consumption. So it'll tell you, like, you know, your PSI range for like a 0 tip would be maybe, 5 acetylene and 5 oxygen, 5 acetylene and 8 oxygen. Those are in the manuals from the design engineering when they build the tips to say what that looks like.
So that might change depending on the tip size.
Yeah, no, the pressures for this is like 12
I
acetylene.
always use 5 and 10.
No, so, yeah, and so you'll find that you may have a 2 tip, but you're only gonna get a 0 amount of fuel out of it. And so you're never gonna get the amount of BTUs that you would get with this tip for that size pipe. And so you'll struggle with like 1 1/8, you'll struggle with 1 3/8, and you're like, man, I'm using the right tip, but I didn't change my pressure to account for the fuel consumption the tip has.
Okay,
So,
makes sense.
so essentially throw your rosebuds away. You don't need them.
Thanks for watching. If you're willing, give this video a thumbs up and drop us a comment. Don't forget to hit that bell icon to stay updated with all of our future videos. And as a quick reminder, HVAC School isn't just a YouTube channel. Dive deeper with us at our main website, hvacrschool.com. Curious for more knowledge on the go? We've got you covered. Tune into the HVAC School podcast, available on all your favorite podcast apps. And while you're at it, join our thriving Facebook group. Also, don't miss out on our free mobile applications available for both iPhone and Android. We're all about community. For techs, by techs.